If you're thinking of moving to Richlands, North Carolina, and hopefully over the last several videos, that's more and more likely. What did we do? We reviewed some great videos about what $350,000 or less can get you in Richlands, North Carolina. Then we went and did a pro-con video of living in Richlands, North Carolina. So now we're going to talk about the map of Richlands, North Carolina. And this video is absolutely critical because although Richlands is super affordable on paper, we don't want you to make a costly mistake. I want you to understand such things as the map, the commute, and where growth is happening so you don't make that expensive mistake. Today I'm breaking down Richlands the way the locals see it, not the way the listing photos show it. Hi everyone, I am Stephen L. Skakandi with the Skakandi Group of living in and around Jacksonville, North Carolina. And I help buyers, sellers, and investors just like you purchase, sell, or invest in real estate in Onslow County, North Carolina. That includes Jacksonville, Sneads Ferry, as well as Richlands. And Richlands is what we're going to be talking about today. So whether you are moving in 9 months, 9 weeks, 9 days, or 9 hours, it doesn't matter. My team and I help people relocate every single week anywhere around the Jacksonville, Camp Lejeune, and Richlands areas. Over the last few months, Richlands has come up more than normal, and that's why we've been focusing on it as of late. But Richlands is not a one-size-fits-all community. As I said before, you might be trading convenience for community. And whether that makes sense or not depends on you, your perspective, and what you need to accomplish. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get started. By the end of this video, you're going to know where Richlands is actually located. You're going to know what the commute actually looks like, best value of which neighborhoods, and some of the neighborhoods we visited, where they're actually located at, and some idea of where future growth is happening and where it's not. Let's pull out that map, shall we? Okay, time to go to our map and show you where Richlands is. First thing you'll notice about Richlands, North Carolina is that if this is Jacksonville, Richlands is actually northwest of Jacksonville. It's not coastal, okay? Places like Sneads Ferry, Surf City, Topsail Island, Emerald Isle, these are all coastal and located right on the Atlantic Ocean. Or Jacksonville, located on the New River. Richlands, not so much. Richlands over here is not coastal. So some other things that go along with it is it's not as congested as other areas in Onslow County, okay? Things are more spread out. Now this is actually the city limits of Richlands, but Richlands is a much bigger area that encompasses so much more. Some things you can depend on from Richlands is larger parcels of land and more flexibility for builders. That's why so much new construction is here versus certain other places in the county. So buyers that want space and affordability naturally gravitate to this area. And as the crow flies, with Jacksonville being right there, it certainly doesn't seem very far. Here's why people either love Richlands or immediately they go ahead and they cross it off the list. What do I mean by that? Well, the commute. Let's take a look at the commute. So with the commute, here's Richlands right here. And then you commute down to Highway 258 and you can take the bypass on 17 or take Old 17 to 24 and then cut across over to the base right here, okay? So if you're going to the main gate, you have a longer commute. A shorter commute might very well be starting once again from Richlands, coming down 258 and then jumping on 17. The shorter commute is New River Air Station. That's home of our rotary wing aircraft assets, as well as both Marine Combat Training or the School of Infantry. Camp Geiger is located over there. Now, depending on which one you go to, whether it's the main gate or New River Air Station, time of day matters a lot. And just a few minutes one way or a few minutes the other way can really have a major impact in the length of commute that you experience. I'll tell you what, back in my day, the main formations would be at 0630 and 0730. So there was a span of time from about, I would say 5:55, after 5:55 until about 6:25. Very bad traffic, okay? Trying to get on for that 0630 formation because of all the last minute Charlies. After 6:30, you had a window of time until probably about 6:55. And then 6:55 to 7:25, again, horrible traffic. So my formations were always 0630. I made sure I hit that gate no later than 0545, and I had smooth sailing getting in for my 0630 formation. Does that still hold true? Yes and no. Now, 1600, everybody gets secured at 1600. There's nothing I can do for you in terms of getting off the base at that point in time. You're just gonna be in traffic. What I always did and what made sense for me, I did my second PT session in the afternoon. And that meant I would leave an hour later and there would be no traffic. Either which way you cut it. For some families, this commute works just fine. For others, that's a showstopper right there. And the decision you make, once again, is going to be based on what's in y'all's best interest. I think the big thing to understand if you decide to live in Richlands is that you're not close to major shopping. Yes, there is a Walmart there, and yes, there's some great restaurants. Here's looking at you, Napoli's Pizzeria, as well as other fast food establishments. You know, you've got your McDonald's. However, having said that, you're gonna have to get in your car and you're gonna have to actually drive to get to anything that you wanna do. So Costco, Target, anything like that, that's in Jacksonville. So you're gonna have to be ready to go there. So let's talk value, and that's where Richlands shines, okay? Particularly in new construction pockets, okay? Where am I talking about? Well, on the map, you can see where some of these pockets are. Let me make this a little bit bigger for you. So these pockets, places like Squires Run Village, Driftwood, and Killis Hills are all places in Richlands where new construction is going on. And that's not even including the one-offs that are not in a subdivision, okay? So some of you might be attracted to that opportunity because if it's not in a subdivision, that means no HOAs and you have free reign, essentially, which is great, okay? So in these new construction pockets, you have things that they offer, such as modern floor plans, VA loan friendly pricing, and more house for the money than you get closer to base. Other things are the incentives that they have, such things as interest rate buy downs. That's been huge and been very helpful to a lot of my clients over the last few years. Those opportunities as well. And that's just some of the stuff that new construction can do for you. Having said that, there are some unbelievable communities in Richlands, and we're going to cover those pre-existing subdivisions next and go into a little bit more detail on those. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the great opportunities that you can find in Richlands for under $350,000. Remember that video? we talked about some pre-existing communities that were absolutely exceptional. I'm talking communities such as Cherry Grove, Turner Farms, or even Waverly Place. So if you didn't see that video, don't worry, you can go back and watch it. But I wanted to bring it to your attention because each of those communities offers great value, in terms of price, size, and simple fact that the difference in price could be tens of thousands of dollars potentially. Something comparable that you could find in, say, Sneads Ferry. Granted, in a place like Sneads Ferry, you have access to the water, and if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But if you're certainly shopping for price and for space, and if you are willing to trade convenience for community, Richlands is where you want to go. So in talking about those communities I just mentioned, okay, Cherry Grove, it was started in the mid to late 2000s, 2007-8 timeframe. It's characterized by big lots. And if you remember, there was a couple houses we went through that had been completely remodeled. And for the first time since 2009, 2010, when they were built. So that's great opportunity right there. They all have big yards. And then from there, we went to Turner Farms. Similar homes to Cherry Grove. They were a little bit newer, slightly so, 2012, 2013 timeframe. And once again, you have a community where you have a larger lot, some bigger homes. And then we finished up at Waverly Place. Now, Waverly Place is at the other side of Richlands as you drive through. The benefit of being there is most of those homes are, I can't say new construction if someone's already lived in them, but they're anywhere from 2 to 3 years old at the max. And there is 1 or 2 left that are brand new that no one's lived in that are available for sale. And those are just a smattering of the potentials available in Richlands. There's also some great homes out there that are not in a community at all. So you can go in a lot of different directions, is what I'm trying to tell you. There's certainly a lot to think about. So what are the biggest mistakes that I see buyers make, and how can they avoid them? Well, I think the biggest mistake I see them make is commute fatigue. Commute fatigue is essentially the act of, hey, it's no big deal. I can do this for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Not a problem. I can work my way through it. And then after a few months, they realize the grind of commuting becomes a bit much. And a year or two into it, they decide they have to make a change. Okay. And if they were honest with themselves up front, they might have realized that commute fatigue is a real thing, and maybe they would have made a different decision. Another area where I see buyers making a mistake is the daily errands. If you plot things out, it's not that bad in terms of, hey, if I know I'm going to pass Walmart, I can stop and I get some bread and eggs and milk on my way either to or from work. And sometimes people let that slip by and they don't plan things out, and therefore they realize the errands become too much because they're not stacking the errands on top of one another. Finally, I think work schedules can be a problem. Hey, depending on what your job is in the Marine Corps, you might have to be in work very early or at weird hours. And because of that, that can be a bit of a drain as well. And it's not just the Marine Corps. If you live as a first responder, perhaps as a doctor, a nurse, fire department, or police officer, you can have those same challenges depending on your demanding work schedule. So that's also something I would think about. So commute fatigue, daily errands, and then of course the work schedules. If people don't address those early and often, that's when regret can set in. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about the housing. We've talked about new construction. We've talked about pre-existing subdivisions, and you've got a lot of different options there. But let's talk a little bit about growth and development and what it means big picture. If you compare Richlands to Jacksonville or Sneads Ferry, I think you're going to find that growth is happening here, but it's not the way it's happening, say, in Jacksonville or Sneads Ferry. What does that mean? Okay, let's talk about that. Well, growth here is slower, it's more spread out, and it's mostly residential. So you're not seeing massive commercial expansion. You are seeing steady housing demand. That makes a huge difference. This keeps prices more stable, but it also means convenience grows slowly. So we talked a lot about that in the last video. We talked about nightlife or lack thereof, and we talked about different options in shopping, how you don't have as many options as you do in Jacksonville or in Wilmington or Raleigh, certainly. But again, you're giving that up for the community feel. We went into great detail about that very recently when we went to Napoli's Pizzeria, and we talked about that community feel, how people band together and help each other out. We talked about how that restaurant, for example, is a focal point after a Friday night football game. We talked about how after church people would gather there and neighbors would go there not just to eat but to actually meet one another. And that's what you have here with this kind of sustained, I would say, careful growth. That's the difference. So at the end of the day, who is Richlands best for? At this point, you should have some idea in your own head. Well, let me give you a couple of my thoughts on that. So anyone that wants space, i.e. a large lot or a large house and a large lot, would certainly benefit from it. Anyone that wants privacy, many of the communities in Richlands, many of the subdivisions, certainly have a little bit more space than what you would have in a subdivision that's in, say, Jacksonville or Sneads Ferry. Somebody that's looking for affordability, okay? Affordability is huge, where the trade-off in prices of house and land in Richlands could be tens of thousands of dollars different than in, say, even Sneads Ferry. If you're looking for newer homes, Richlands has a ton of options because many of these homes, quote unquote, older homes, were built in the mid-2000s. So if you're looking for that, Richlands certainly will give you most of what you want. Of course, we do have some older homes here, like the one I showed you in What Can I Get for $350,000. We had a great home from 1943. So again, we've got everything from older homes to brand new homes and everything in between. Somebody that wants a quieter lifestyle. The pictures don't shake off the walls as much as they do in other areas of the county, believe it or not, out in Richlands. Although the base still lets you know it's there, so don't you worry about that. So what is Richlands not ideal for? Well, if you're looking for walkability. I just talked to a gentleman today that decided to purchase something in the Myrtle Beach area in South Carolina. Clearly, Myrtle Beach is a walkable area. Everything from living to shopping to entertainment is all within a few steps of each other, depending on where you live down there. And if that's what you're looking for, Richlands is definitely not it. If you want nightlife, vibrant nightlife, other than Friday night at Napoli's Pizzeria, when everyone walks across the street from the big game, you don't have nightlife. That's just not what Richlands is known for. So if you're looking for that, I would definitely direct you to Jacksonville, Wilmington, or Raleigh. If you're somebody that wants a short commute, Richlands is going to be difficult for you. Getting to both Main Side, Camp Lejeune, or New River Air Station is going to take you a bit of time, depending on where you live out there. So be advised, be prepared to commute and avoid that commute fatigue that we talked about. So if you're thinking of moving to Richlands or anywhere near Camp Lejeune in Onslow County, don't delay. Give me a call. I'm Stephen L. Skakandi with the Skakandi Group at Living in and Around Jacksonville, North Carolina. And every day, in every way, we help people just like you, whether it's 9 months or 9 weeks. We help you buy, sell, and invest in real estate. And we're very excited about Richlands and what it has to offer, and we're happy to share it with you. But remember, we will help you decide if Richlands fits your lifestyle, your needs, and your job. I will give you the good, the bad, the ugly, and then you're going to have to make the command decision. My contact info is below, so like, click, and smash that subscribe button, and be sure to catch us on that next video. We definitely have much more about not just Richlands, but about other parts of Onslow County, North Carolina, that we're excited to share with you over the coming weeks and months. Hey, I'm glad you're still here. Be sure to go back and watch some of my earlier videos, particularly what you can get for $350,000 in Richlands, as well as the Richlands Pro and Con video, where I go into more great detail about some of the communities and what makes Richlands so special. You're definitely going to want to check it out because it accompanies what we discussed here. And all it does is help you build that picture and see if this community is where you want to call home over the next few years. See you in the next video.